Hello, one and all. This is Baka&Co, a show where we talk about all things anime and manga, from news to reviews and everything in between. I am your host, Frankfurter, and with me is my co-host, the Scientologist Argonaut, the one and only Magically Average. Today we are going to talk about the first week of summer 2022 anime and recap Anime Expo. But before that, Magically Average, how are you today?
I'm better. Could be doing better since now I'm a Scientologist.
Yep.
Is that what I
I don't
am?
make the rules, it's just what you are.
Oh my gosh. I don't e- I feel I don't have enough money for that. You know how much money you have to be a Scientologist? I'm also not I'm not crazy I'm slightly crazy, but I'm not like Tom Cruise crazy.
But hey, just think, you might be able to get close to Tom Cruise and maybe even John
I don't
Travolta.
No, I don't want to get close to either of them. They look sweaty and very like sticky to the touch. I don't like that. I'm okay.
That's fair. I don't blame you for that one. But yeah, we do have a good amount to cover today, so I just wanted to see how you're doing, and we're just gonna hop straight into it with our segment number one, which we are going to kind of just go over what we've watched the first week of summer 2022. This is actually the first week that shows have started airing. Not everything is out, and I think because of that, like my definitely because of that, my impression of summer so far is really bland. Like what we've gotten so far hasn't been the greatest.
Eh,
But
I s- Looking at the list that I have put together for like my watch list, which includes the must-haves down to the let's just give it a shot. Most are coming out in this next week from like the point where we're recording. We have a couple coming
right,
out tomorrow and then a couple on the 7th, but then there's a huge chunk on like I think like the 13th, 14th and 15th too. So I
yeah,
summer season summer some shows start like even towards the end of July. It's kind of crazy. But I don't know, so far I've enjoyed the few that I've watched, I would say, but I'm more just anticipating the ones that are yet to come because we've got some solid shows that have yet to air.
yeah, and I think that's probably wise because I'm most looking forward to what hasn't aired. The shows that I've watched separate from because we both watched Licorice Recoil, and I enjoyed it. It was way all over the place. Like it did a lot of things in a short amount of time, but I thought it was very good. It built a good world and introduced a good amount of characters that seem pretty interesting. So I'm pretty on board with Licorice Recoil. But like, was it mind blowingly amazing? No, it was good.
Yeah.
It's
Truthfully, I thought it did a fantastic job in that first episode. I mean, it set the tone real quick, like what this show's going to be
it was
like.
really funny. That first like
Yeah.
intro of what the world was hilarious. It's just like slice of life music with fucking agent like girl teenage
Yeah.
girl agents just with silenced pistols just taking out like terrorists before
Yeah.
they can
It
even get away with anything.
it's like if Anya could grow up in the span of like, a season and now she's an assassin like her mom. Yeah. It was wonderful. But I came in with really no expectations on this show. We both read the synopsis when we were reviewing the summer season, and we were like, "Oh, this one looks pretty interesting. Let's put it on the list." But I'm like all in. This show's got me really intrigued. I like the setup of everything. I like the different like bits of mystery they've already set into a few of the characters involved. Like they've already got the plot really rolling along. So I think it was great. I was really surprised.
Yeah, and I think that it was of the new shows, it was probably number one, maybe number two compared to what I watched. I mean, the other shows that I watched that you didn't were Classroom of the Elite season two. It literally picks up right where season one left off, and just goes straight into another quote unquote test. And I mean, if you enjoyed season one, you'll enjoy what the first episode was. I thought it was good. I would like this show, I would equate to being a very good, better version of Tomodachi game. Like if you were interested at all in Tomodachi game, this is a very much better version of it. Because like the risk really isn't like life or death, it's more so surviving at school, not getting expelled, and like having money to spend at school and trying to increase your class rank. Like it's a lot better than what the fuck Tomodachi was. But if you liked season 1, season 2 will be right up your alley. It literally picks up right where it left off. The other shows that I watched, Engage Kiss, I'm I was in. It was I was in. It seemed pretty cool. It was like it threw a few characters at you. They seemed pretty interesting. And then they had the most over animated like kiss scene that was like I was more uncomfortable watching that than I have been like most hentai.
Yeah, it was like
It was
this
weird.
it was like the scene from Love is War this past or the like season 2 where they all witness the two lovebirds making out and they're
Um,
all just in shock.
was that not season 3?
Oh, might have been. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure
I
that
can't
was
remember.
season like early season 3, but yeah, no, it was
Could have been.
just like the
That
slimiest, like most over animated like kiss
yeah,
I'd
and
ever watched, and it hurt.
because you can't like deal with shit on your own and you have to scar others
Mm-hmm.
because you're that sadistic. You brought me in, you're like, hey, check this scene out, and I had no, like, I was not even able to react in time, and then I just see the sloppiest, most disgusting animated kiss I've ever seen,
Hey,
and I'm
animation
like,
was great, but it just was over the top to the point where I
but
did not want to see all that.
that's what I mean. Like, I would have much rather them have like fucking stick figure, just like faces kind of bashing off of each other versus like the real up close flobber everywhere, tongue action shit they were doing. I'm like, I like Frank and I are good friends, but I thought he was showing me hentai for like a split second. I thought we were like getting real intimate, and I was like, we're taking our relationship to the next level. Like I'm all game, but you got to give me some warning, bud.
Yeah, I didn't give you any, and it was great.
Nope.
Um, but
Mm-mm.
yeah, no, I'm not gonna be going forward with that one. That just it was if it's probably gonna be a very good show because like the premise seems really good, but if every kiss like that is gonna be fucking animated like
Oh
that,
yeah.
you can count me the fuck out.
Oh yeah.
I'm
You know it's
I
gonna be
don't
hardcore,
I
up
don't need
close
to
and
see
personal,
that. Oh, it was so uncomfortable.
sloppy.
Oh, the other shows that I watched, I think the one that I enjoyed the most, other than Licorice Recoil, was Teppen. Teppen on Crunchyroll. It's honestly recently I've been there's a I say decent amount. There's two manga on Shonen Jump that are all about comedy. One about like, and they're both different styles. One is shit, I forget what the duo comedy style is, and then the other being Rakugo. I believe that's how you pronounce it. But I forget what the duo buddy comedy stand up act is called. But this is about basically a trio comedy stand up act, and literally the show just this first episode it gave you a little bit about the world. It's like, hey, they're existing in this dorm, and this dorm basically is for the people who won this competition and are going to the states or national finals against other cities, etc., whatever. The only like twist to this is that they have to perform on a stage inside this dorm to the public, and if the public likes them, they get to stay in the dorm. If they don't like them, they're immediately expelled from the dorm. And they introduce like five groups because I believe it's five groups that stay in the dorm of five groups of three girls, and all of them are completely unique, and it's pretty fucking funny. So they introduce all five groups with the focus on one of them mainly because it's like they go from this main group to the next group, back to the main group, to the next group, to back to the main group, to the next group, etc., etc. I really enjoyed it. It was funny. It was interesting, and just the fact that all the groups, like they all had different personalities, was great. And there's a group in there that is obsessed with the occult, and one may or may not be an alien. Like they were trying to summon a UFO, and they're like, "Why are we summoning this UFO? Like we don't have any questions for it, do we?" And we're like, "Huh? Yeah, I guess we don't." And just it was I don't know. It was a good show. I'm not doing it justice. It's a good funny show, in my opinion. Episode 1 is out on Crunchyroll. I think everything we've talked about so far is on Crunchyroll, but the last two shows that I watched, Phantom of the Idol, which is on High Dive, and also going to be 10 episodes, weirdly enough. So,
Oh.
yeah, out of the norm of 12 to 13, this is going to be 10 episodes. I enjoyed it. However, if you know me, I hate CGI. This is, for all intents and purposes, I suppose, an idol show in which this uninspired guy who just wants to make money quickly based off his good looks is like lazy as shit, becomes an idol. And because he's boring as shit, nobody really likes him, but they like his partner. The lazy guy meets a dead idol, like the ghost of a dead idol girl, and that was like super popular and just died tragically like a year before in a car crash. Meets her ghost. She possesses his body, and then he becomes like this energetic like idol guy. So he's basically like, cool, you can do the work, and I'll just be in my own body, just watching from the like inside or whatever. It's really fucking weird, but it's so good. But back to the CG part, the whole performing on stage and idol part is CG, and it fucking hurts. It hurts so
Ew.
bad. But
Ew.
other than that, it's very well animated. Like
Okay.
it's very interesting. So Phantom of the Idol, it's entertaining, it's funny. I really enjoyed it. And then the last show is on Netflix, which a lot of people are giving love, and I'm only one episode in. I haven't finished it anywhere near finishing it. It's a show called Spriggan, which, if those of you don't know, was a manga back in 1998. Got a movie, hasn't gotten anything since, or like it got a standalone movie. And now it's a 6 episode season on Netflix. And I watched episode 1, and it moved at like a breakneck pace. It went from like one like action sequence to another. Like it's just like, we can relax now. Oh no, our helicopter's going down. We can relax now. Oh no, a volcano's going off. We can relax. Like it just went from one thing to another. And this is kind of like, it was fine. The story was okay. It does, like, I read a lot like, oh, it reminds me of anime of old, and I think the reason why it reminds a lot of people of anime of old is because it dives real deep into religious topics. Like I
Ah.
forget what the first episode was about, but it basically took like, basically during like religious period or whatever, their civilization was way more advanced than ours, and now we're finding their civilization, but the back then they like gave us a message that like, hey, either you could use this power and rule the world and be dickheads, or you could seal it away so nobody has the power and you guys can live on. And so basically one company's trying to make sure that nobody gets the power, and of course they have like, the United States, Russia, and everybody trying to rush in and get all these different powers from different biblical sources. Like I started watching episode 2, and that one has to do with Noah's Ark, and the ark being able to terraform the planet. Yeah,
Well,
it's really interesting, but it's half CG and half regular animated, and it really fucking throws me through a loop. It really does. I don't understand. Like I understand CG's easier to make and like it's cheaper too, but just it fucking throws me through a loop every damn time.
yeah.
But that's what I've watched. I know you've watched the first episode of Overlord season 4. What? I'm not. But how was
No,
it?
I don't expect you to. So I had meant to go back and at least rewatch some of the last episodes of season 3 just to get myself up to speed. Obviously didn't, so I was like, all right, well, screw it, let's just start. Started to bring back memories of what happened, and it starts off it's kind of like you said with Classroom with Elite. It starts off like just right into it, like we're getting into the next phase of the storyline, where they've captured the Sorcerer Kingdom, they have rule over everyone, and it's really about uh like the rule of Ein Zulgaun and like what he's gonna do to the kingdom. And the really cool part, which happens obviously at the end of the episode to set up what's the whole season's gonna be about, and which is why I'm actually really, really excited about this season, because I think they're gonna go in a different direction, and I think it's the right move based on how the last 2 seasons have gone. Is he is basically creating a new adventurers guild within the kingdom, because they set up like this. The adventurers guild have always been separate from the kingdom, so that way they don't hold the kingdom accountable if they go off and fuck around in other countries and get in trouble and shit. And Einzelgaun's like, no, I'm gonna absorb you guys because you're gonna, instead of being adventurers, like in the sense of like you go out and do quests and kill monsters, you're gonna be actual adventurers and go and find new lands and explore. You're gonna be like
Hmm.
explorers now. And the guy who runs the guild is like, are you gonna do this to start capturing more land? And he's like, no, if it's hostile, we're gonna, react appropriately. But basically, it's just like, I have the army to keep everyone safe in this kingdom. Like, no worries there. But I want you guys to go out and explore and allow for expansion and allow for us to really, like, just make sure that we're going out and trying to find new civilizations and find new people and expand the territory where necessary.
Hmm.
And he was like, all right, I'm down. And then the actual person, um like, inner monologuing was like, I'm also doing this because I have a feeling that my other guild members from when we originally played this video game are in this world somewhere, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
go try to find them. And I'm like, ooh, cool, okay. So we are heading into that other players in the video game space, because the last two seasons have really just been like, let's fuck over the lizard men community. And then it's like, oh, these people are pissing me off, let's go destroy that kingdom. And I'm like, it's entertaining, it's interesting, but it doesn't really drive forward a good storyline. This gets back to where they ended season one, where like the concept of like, there's another player in this server, I think, because there's character moves that NPCs aren't able to perform. So like, what the hell is going on? They're finally getting back to that, and I'm like, okay, cool. We're gonna be building out the world even more now, but also we're going to go more on exploration into other cities, other kingdoms, find those other players, whether they're his actual guild members or hostile people that are just trying to, destroy everything in the server. We'll have to find out. So I think this season's going to be much different tone than the last two specifically, but I think it's going to go in a really fun and interesting direction. So I'm excited.
Yeah, from the end of season 3, I thought it was going to take a darker tone because it really went kind of dark at the end of season 3, where he
Yeah.
straight up just murders the girl who escapes from their like home
Yeah.
that they also invaded. But it's just like, ooh, that's a spicy meatball. That's real fucking dark. I wonder if
Yeah,
that's
no,
just going to continue. So,
it's all peppy and cherry. He even has a line in the first episode where he's like, I wonder what would happen if I like treat everyone that reveres me as like a supreme overlord or master or whatever. Like, I just treat them like equals. Like, would that fuck up everything? Would their heads explode? Like, I'll test it out in some situations. And he tested it out on, I can't remember the guy's name. He's like the guy that can basically impersonate other characters.
oh
It's his
yeah,
creation. He's like, just, listen, I'm going to treat you like my son because I created you and you're a special one, but just don't tell anyone else. And there's a maid there watching, and she's just sobbing with happiness. She's like, oh my god. And he's like, okay, you can't tell anyone either, otherwise all the shit's gonna hit the fan at once. So everyone, hush hush. So there's some funny stuff. It's much lighter tone than, like I said, like the last season specifically, but the last two really. So
mm,
it'll be
okay.
interesting.
Fair enough. Yeah, we got a lot more coming next week or this coming week. I
Oh
think
yeah,
tomorrow, like, Main Abyss starts. I think Call of the Night
Call of the
starts in the
Night.
next day or two. When will a Yumu
Yep.
make his move? We got a lot coming, but for now, it's kind of just so for what's out. It's not, really hit the fan. But we are going to move straight along into our first news story, but our second segment. News story number 1, Chainsaw Man announcements at Anime Expo 2022. This is going to be basically like the rest of this conversation. We are just going to talk about essentially what was and wasn't at Anime Expo. And we do want to like kind of focus in, like laser beam in on a few shows specifically, Chainsaw Man being one of them, because this is probably my hoped hyped show for the year, and I honestly can't wait for it. Tyler, I know you honestly can't wait for it. It's
Oh
just
yeah.
one of those things that this is something that everybody's excited about. but the news that we got wasn't necessarily the news that we wanted. Sure, there was one really good thing. Um, Basically, the news that we got, and just to kind of recap it real quick, and then we can go into detail and discuss. Chainsaw Man manga continues on July 13th, so that's next week. Next week, 1 week
Yeah,
from tomorrow, yesterday. 1 week from yesterday. So we got next Monday we'll be getting Chainsaw Man Part 2, which I'm
it's
looking forward
Wednesday,
to.
next Wednesday.
Today's
Next
Tuesday.
and tomorrow's the 6th, and 7 plus 6 is 13. So
I
it'll
can
be Wednesday.
I can math, maybe.
Since we're doing a news segment now, I want to try to be as accurate as possible for people
No, you're
listening.
right. No, you're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah. So next Wednesday. Yeah. No, my math was way off there. I don't know why I thought 5 plus 7 was fucking.
It's all right. It's late, honestly. We do this and we're like trying to be smart now with like, here's new stuff, and they're gonna tell you all the fun stuff that happens, and then our brains just take a duty and we're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, and the week has just only begun. But anyways, the manga
Yay.
continues next week. Hooray! Mappa CEO says there will be no censorship, and it's a direct adaptation from the manga, which is really the biggest news to take away from here. But other couple key points as well. They are working closely with the author Tatsuki Fujimoto. There's going to be more information coming out in the Crunchyroll Expo in August, which I found out today. So that's pretty, like, please, for the love of God, give us a date then. But the things that didn't happen is we got no new trailer, no key visual or date. But the CEO said that they want everything to be perfect before it's shown. So that's basically what came out. Like, those are the main points that came out during this panel. Um, I just want to kick it off. I mean, the censorship thing, that's the biggest part of this whole entire thing. Like,
Yeah.
we haven't, we don't really think about censorship all too much. Every once in a while, we'll get, like, a show that is more on the raunchy side, like your harem dungeon thing that's coming out this season that you want to watch, in which they are like, hey, we're going to have a censored version, like a heavily censored version, a slightly censored version, and an uncensored version. So now it's just like, cool, we aren't going to get any censorship for Chainsaw Man. It is going to be bloody, it is going to be gory, there's going to be boobs. Like,
Yeah. It's
it's
gonna have
just
everything.
it is one of those things that it's like I didn't even think about that and how they were going to do the show because of how much gratuity there is to it. But it's good to know that it's not going to be like it's not going to take that dip in quality from what the source material is, because the source material is very, very gruesome.
Yeah, it's very, very vivid. The biggest thing for me when I was reading through the articles and catching the updates after the Chainsaw Man panel was that the Mappa CEO was like an avid fan of the series, like read it all the way through, absolutely loves it. They even, not to say they cut corners, but they didn't do their usual like, okay, let's get a panel together to figure out what new series we want to adapt for a show. It was no, we're 100% doing this. Like there was no talking with the board or anything. It was we want to do this. And that to me says more than anything else that, of course people are upset that there was no new trailer or visuals or even like a date. I get it. We've been waiting for over a year now since the first trailer dropped, so I understand. But the fact that you're getting the CEO of Mappa coming out and being like, we don't want to sully anything that Tatsuki Fujimoto has created with Chainsaw Man. Like we are spending our time meticulously adapting every single bit of his source material into the show. So much so that they're actually adding anime only scenes as well. Like there's going to be some stuff that's not in the manga, and it's all based on what I read. It's all with direction from Tatsuki as well. Like it's not something where Mappa's kind of gone off and done their own thing. Like this is without a better terminology, like a real partnership between the manga creator and the anime studio, which is it's really rare, I think, to see that nowadays because studios are just churning out shows left and right. Like they don't have the time to sit down and be like, we thought this panel would look better in this way in the show. They're like, no, fuck you. We're doing our own thing. We're just trying to push this out. Chainsaw Man is much more, let's sit down, let's walk through this, let's get everything just laid out crystal clear, perfected, and then we'll start adapting it. And that is, to me, the the most important piece of this all. Like, again, it was lackluster, sure, but there's some huge pieces to take away from the panel, and I think those are the main ones. Mappa CEO, top notch person.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Like, it sucks that we didn't get that stuff, and I think there was actually billboards or something being shown in Japan like after the panel, which was really interesting to see because we didn't get a new PV or we didn't get a new trailer, we didn't get any visuals, so it was really weird to see that Japan was advertising Chainsaw Man so heavily with like a new billboard and flashy graphics that we didn't see at the at the panel. So that was kind
Yeah.
of weird, but you know what? It is what it is. I'm happy that they're taking their time with it because this is a very special manga, and I think that they want to make the show just as special as the source material because they also know that the fan base for this is so diehard for this because in all honesty this is probably my favorite series that I've read, period. Like
Yeah.
I don't think anything really. I think once I get more into Berserk, once I get a few more volumes of that, it might hop Chainsaw Man, but as of right now, like Chainsaw Man is just, it is the best because of the story it tells, the characters it creates, and the world it creates. Like everything about it is fantastic. Dark as shit, but very good. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to August to see what more that they're going to announce for Crunchyroll Expo, but we got 30 days to wait for that. So, it is what it is. But we're going to move right along into news story number 2, segment number 3. Trigun Stampede got a teaser, as well as Solo Leveling got a teaser. Now, Solo Leveling was a new announcement, and it'll be in our new date slash announcements segment next, but I wanted to put it in here as well because this is another one of those series that has a significant fan base that is diehard, absolutely loves the source material.
Mhm.
And so is Trigun. Trigun is just a show that came out in the late 90s that if you watched it back in the day, you probably have like a special place in your heart for Trigun. You probably love Trigun, but it's just you thought it was done. The manga's over, the TV show's over, but now it's coming back. There's a new show, and it's all 3D animated by Studio Orange, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and for audio listeners only, we are streaming this, and I believe we're going to be uploading this to YouTube. But we do have the trailer running in this background at the same time. Uh, I just wanted to go over these two trailers, just starting with Trigun. Like, this is such a huge deal because of how beloved this series is. Like, this is a classic series that people are like, oh, what should I start out with? This is one of those series, like, if you've seen it, you suggest this to people because it is a really easily obtainable, watchable show. And I watched it for the first time last year, the original, and it was good. It didn't hold up in some regards, but it was good. I'm excited for this new one. I hate CG. I've said it early in the show. I just don't like CG anime at all.
Yeah.
After watching this trailer, I'm kind of on board. It doesn't look bad. It's by the same people who did Beastars and I know Land of the Lustrous. They really like this doesn't look bad. It looks fluid. It doesn't look super choppy. Like there are some times where it looks a little choppy, but for the most part, it all looks pretty damn fluid and good. I don't know. I'm excited about it. And this comes out what, January 2023 next year? Or
If
at some point in
memories,
2023.
yeah, if memory serves me right around there. I have never watched Trigun. Was around the time ish when like it was hard, at least in the United States, to watch a lot of anime outside of like Toonami, really. So for me, like back then, it was mostly Cowboy Bebop and Foolie Cooley and stuff like that. So I never really got into Trigun, and I know it's like a classic and a lot of people like it. My one question though, and I don't know since you've seen the anime if you know this either, but is this a continuation of source material or is this a continuation of where they ended the anime? Because like
So it's a
I'm kind of clueless.
it's a new retelling of the source material. So it's gonna have stuff from the original anime, but the original anime ended before, that show ended before the manga was done. So it's, I
Okay.
don't know. People are speculating that it might be like a Brotherhood type situation, but I've also seen things where people have dissected the trailer and they're like, "This wasn't in the original show. It's gonna be in here." Like people, I don't know. I think a lot of people are really negative about it being all CG, and I kind of understand that. Like it's not my thing at all, and it's not a lot of other people's things. But I think that Studio Orange is one of those studios that the work they've done has been at like pretty damn good from the people who have watched their shows. Like everybody who has watched their shows has seemingly enjoyed it and thought that it was a good adaptation of whatever it was trying to adapt. So I have a feeling that they're gonna do a good job with this. And I mean, looking at it, this trailer, the handful of times we just watched it just now, it's a really good trailer. This
Yeah.
has me interested. It has the intrigue. It has your favorite characters. It does well. It has your main antagonist and protagonist. It doesn't have the two side characters, the girls, the that are trying to catch Vash and everything else throughout the show. But from what it shows off, it looks good. It really does, and I'm looking forward to actually watching this one next year.
Yeah.
So
I'll probably give it a watch. I The CG looks good. I like the fact that it's entirely CG too. We've watched a few shows in the past that have been like a split, and it's kind of a little
I
grotesque at
mean,
times.
yeah, even I just mentioned I watched the first and a half episode of Spriggan, and it
Yeah,
just threw me through a damn loop from between it going from 2D to 3D. It's just
yeah. That's always
oof.
just like a weird, yeah, like that transition's always just very jarring. But um, I mean, I'm speculating again. I've never watched the original. I've seen trailers and clips of it. Obviously, if I had to guess, biggest complaint from people that have watched it in the past that it's CG now is the fact that the art style is completely different. Because you have to imagine too, like eh, take the take Cowboy Bebop for instance, right? Very classic, old school style. Late '90s animation quality, but it's got those like similar kind of quirky little bits of animation to it that you enjoy. That all kind of goes out the window with CG because CG is very like I don't want to say crisp and clean, but it's you have less of like the
I feel like it's a
quote
little more
unquote like
basic.
yeah, you don't get like the true like animated features of characters when like imagine like Dragon Ball Z style where like their jaws or like One Piece where their jaws like drop all the way to the ground, stuff like that, right? And that looks really clunky and funky in CG. But like back in when Trigun came out, like that's the type of animation you get. You get those like quirky little bits of facial animation features that you enjoy and stuff like that. So I think you lose a bit of the nostalgia when it goes into CG, but the quality of the CG is good. Again, I'm only speaking in hyperbole here because I've never seen the original Trigun and I can only assume what other fans are saying about it, but to me it looks at least relatively intriguing from the trailer, and I think because it's entirely CG I can probably get past it. So I'd give it a try. I might try to go back and just rewatch the first, the original Trigun just to kind of get a sense for what it's like and not go in
Yeah.
entirely blind. But it's at least caught my interest enough to where I'll probably watch it.
Yeah, and the original Trigun's only 26 episodes, so it really isn't that long of a show if you have half a year, if not more, to go back and rewatch the original Trigun just to compare it to the new one, or just, hey, I
Yeah,
watched
but
the 2D
Frank,
one because the 3D one didn't interest me. What?
but Frank, we have so many good shows coming out this year. When am I
But do
gonna
we?
have the time?
I'm kidding. Yeah, I know. Speaking of new shows, we got the announcement for Solo Leveling, as I said.
Hooray!
Yeah, this trailer to me not as good. Like I
It, yeah.
I just so for those of you who haven't seen it, it's really mostly outside the first like 10 seconds, it's just all still images from like a mobile game. It looks like it's like where the character is standing still, but their hair piece is like moving, or there's shadows or flames or whatever kind of crawling up the sides of them or whatever. It literally, this teaser trailer just more so tells you more about the production than, and like shows you panels of the actual source material than it does tell you anything about the show or give you a glimpse as to what the show is going to look like, unless it's going to
Yeah.
look like a mobile game, which, if they go down the path of Way the House Husband, people are going
Oh
to
God,
be
no.
livid. But I
Yeah,
don't think that I doubt that
no.
they're going to do that, because it is A1 Productions that's making it. If they somehow do that, people are going to be livid.
Yeah. God save us all. I would more characterize this as a hype video than anything. I really, it's because it's not a trailer, right? It doesn't tell you anything about the story. It doesn't really tell you anything about characters. It's just like you said, like images flashing across the screen with some weird animation, whether it's like a smoky background or like something's flickering in the distance. It's more just sort of like a, hey, you've been asking for it for a bit since the source materials come out and you're getting it. Here's solo leveling anime. Hooray. I honestly think it's nothing more than just that. It's just a hype video to get people excited. I don't
Yeah.
doubt that within the next, before the end of the year for sure, we'll get an actual trailer. But this is more just like a, hey, we're not kidding around. You know, this is actually happening, so get ready. But
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine them looking at this the production team being like, "Well, boys and girls, we did it. Let's just send it
Nailed it.
out. How do you watch this and not have an erection? That's just whoa. Like
Yeah.
it's really kind of lackluster."
Yeah, the trailer as a trailer is very lackluster. I do agree. Like, I was actually texting a buddy, I think maybe a few hours before the actual official announcement happened with this trailer. It was leaked that it was getting an anime, and I sent that to my buddy who's actually very into this series, and he's like, I don't believe it until I see a goddamn trailer. I was like, okay, fair enough. You do you. It's gonna happen. He's like, well, they already said that it was like he was like, it was already announced, and I looked it up, and I think he just read some bullshit that like, oh, it's gonna happen, but it never really got announced officially. So
Yeah.
3 hours later, or whatever it was when this trailer dropped, I sent it to him. I was like, you ask and you receive, and here you go. And he's super stoked about it. But yeah, this trailer just is really kind of a means of like, it's official, and here's the people who's working on it. Like, here's the musician, here's the director, here's the studio, but it doesn't give us anything else. It tells us 2023, which kind of leaves me in the dark of just like how much of this is actually really done so far. Because last year
Yeah.
we got a trail, like a teaser trailer for Chainsaw Man, and it gave us more than this. This year we just got, I mean, granted it's 6 months away, but we got a good trailer for Trigun. Like, we got a lot of, not a lot of information, but we got a lot of shots of different scenes and places for Trigun. So I'm really wondering, like, is this actually going to be 2023? Are they going to do this in crunch time, or are they going to take the time and this is actually going to come out late 2023?
Yeah.
That's my question, is like, is this that far off that it's going to be, fall 2023, or is this, are they going to rush it and it's going to come out in spring, and who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I doubt that they're gonna rush it. Honestly, my initial take, and I think I'm gonna make a very bold claim afterwards too, is that this is just basically to shut everyone up and be like, It's official. Pipe down. We're working on it. Just it's happening. Okay, stop flooding our inboxes. Stop spamming us on social media. Like it's in the works. Okay, but I think this type of quote unquote trailer video is something that more studios are likely going to do in the future because with the growth of anime during COVID, I think, there's more people reading manga as well. There's obviously a ton more people watching anime. I think Statistics show that on both Crunchyroll, Funimation when before the acquisition and merger with Crunchyroll. Now High Dive, you have Netflix, you have even some shows on Hulu as well. Like, I don't think there's any doubt in people's minds that anime is growing outside of Japan. Like, just the availability of it is huge. And with that and people reading, there's now more demand for new stuff. There's more demand from people being like, I want this like in as an anime, or I hope this gets another season, where studios are now just like, we've got to announce stuff or people are going to lose interest fast. Like, if we don't get on the next series, or if we don't adapt this new manga into an anime, we're going to lose out to the studio down the road that's creating fucking what's that stupid harem live live whatever stupid bullshit
Oh,
that's getting a
that
bajillionth
yeah,
season.
that's getting another season.
Yeah. They're just gonna be like, shit, we lost to them because now they've announced another season, so now those people are gonna go watch that, and they're gonna forget about our project. I think it's actually turning into like a real battle between different studios and different creators to get their series out there as soon as possible, and you know in production as soon as possible, but also just to like hype it up. Like, it doesn't have to be anything huge like Solo Leveling's trailer, right? It just has to be enough to be like, hey, this is in the works. Okay, anticipation's already building. It's coming out 2023. Could be at the beginning, could be at the end. Who knows? But at least we're hyping it up in the middle of 2022, and it's on people's radar. I think you're going to see more of that from studios down the road because of the competition there is now to be that show for the season, to be on the top of people's watch lists, because there is just an enormous amount of content being created now.
Yeah, and I think if we do go down that path, I think we're actually going to see a lot of negatives come from that more than positives, because you will have rush shows, you will have like source materials that you absolutely love, and the adaptations are going to be absolute dog shit. You're going to see more remakes of beloved shows that will or will not live up to the hype. I mean, majority of people did not like the live action Cowboy Bebop. I, on the other hand, I really enjoyed it. I went into it knowing that it was a completely different retelling of the show, and I enjoyed it. But I know there's a lot of people that hated it, even though they took their time, they did the research, and they did the research on the show and kind of just made it their own, and that I appreciated that. I think if we go down the line of like, hey, here we're working on this, shut the fuck up, we're gonna get a lot of people like, well, you announced it over a year ago, why are you making us wait? And then that's gonna lead to crunch. And these
Yep.
studios, like the artists that are making these, they're gonna be burnt out. They're not going to want to work on it, or they're going to demand more compensation, because right now the artists that work on these shows, they're wildly underpaid, and they don't make any sort of compensation after the fact. I forget, not luxury, not loyalty, what is it, royalties. They don't make any royalties on it. Like,
Nope.
they're if that is the path that this industry is going to go down of what you're saying, there has to be a change with pay structure like that, because people are going to
Yeah.
get burnt out, people are not going to want to work in the industry, and you're going to get a lot of lower quality work.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that we're getting big announcements, we're getting big shows, but if we're going to keep getting that type of material over and over again, and you know not necessarily rush it out, but like, hey, we have to get it out by 2023. Who can we hire? It's like, well, this person who we would have hired is already working on Chainsaw Man, or that person is already working on, Trigun, or they're working on the fifth season of Live Live, or they're working on the fifth season of Don Machi. Like, something in the industry needs to change if that reality is going to happen.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm an optimist here. I'm hopeful that this new, again, it's not a craze and it's not like a new fab or anything like that. Like, anime's been around in the United States for a while. It's just more and more people are now getting into it.
yeah, and I
I'm
think
hopeful that this will
go,
spark it, right? Like, I'm hopeful that this is going to be the catalyst for the industry, at least in Japan, right? To make those changes. and maybe this is going to be even something to where it's going to bring production over to the United States. You know, we might see more US based or North American based studios creating anime. Like it could come down to that. I think, as the optimist as I am, there's going to be some more positives than is negatives. I think that it could create that real spark in the industry to better pay editors, creators, artists, everyone that is involved in the creation of these anime. I also think it's an opportunity for smaller artists and smaller studios to get on too, like, and take maybe some of those small projects and get on the map. You know, there's a lot that is happening in both the manga and anime industry, and I think that this is a very interesting time for the industry to really evolve. Just given the fact that, you know, it's so many people, at least in the United States, are watching anime now. There's a ton more manga readers. I mean, it's growing exponentially. And I see you have some statistics up, so I'll shut up so that you can walk through some stuff. But I
Yeah,
just,
no,
it's like the hit while the iron's hot, right? That's the motto right now, and I think now is the time where they need to really start hitting at that iron.
yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that mangas actually in the United States is outselling United States-based comic books. If I'm not mistaken, I have statistics up here. This is what I read. I believe they're the NPD numbers. I just don't. I haven't. I had read this so long ago that I'd have to relook. I could be mistaken, but when you're talking about comic books, when you're thinking, Superman, Batman, anything Marvel, fucking Spider-Man, whatever, I'm pretty sure that manga has outsold it because like the top 10 or top, let's see here on this list, the top 7 volumes of comics that were sold were kids comics. They were Dogman and Cat Kid. Like
Yeah,
it's like the Captain Underpants type
stuff you'd
person.
find at your Scholastic school book fair.
Yeah, and then sitting at number 13 you have Attack on Titan, and then 14 My Hero Academia, Demon Slayers 16, Chainsaw Man number 19. Like you have this huge industry that's coming for, not only just like the United States, but like also I'm wondering what type of change this will cause in United States comics, because they're they're getting more and more popular. And so
Yeah,
they're gonna, like, United States comics are probably gonna have to make a change of some sort, and whether that be publishers take a chance on new, independent stories, or what, like something's got to change. But at the same time, I'm fine with the manga and anime industry, getting as much hype as it is, because their stories are so unique and they're so good. But I think with how the industry is right now, like something does definitely need to change, in the fact of the artists and people who work on the show are just, they get no royalties, and their pay is just
they're
so
criminally
poor.
underpaid.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So
But
let's hope, be optimistic. Let's hope this is going to spark that change, because God knows that this
absolutely.
industry just deserves it, and those working in it, they deserve it too.
Yeah. But we are going to move right along into the new dates and announcements. So this is just going to be if something got a date, like, hey, this is coming to theaters this day, or hey, this is coming in 2023. It'll be under new dates,
And
and the new announcements would be like, hey, this is getting an anime, or hey, the manga is finishing, or hey, this is, getting, like, this author of this group is getting like they're working on a new manga. So
yeah,
that's just a
so
little bit
buckle
of a
up, folks. This
rundown.
is a lot.
Yeah, because
Get your pencil
we
and pad of
picked.
paper out.
I'm
You're
gonna
gonna be
try and
scribbling
blast
down.
through this. Yeah, I'm gonna try and blast through this because we picked the week to start this, we unknowingly, right after AX. So there's a lot of announcements. So strap in and strap
Tons.
on.
Here we
Here we
go.
go. Mashal, Magic and Muscles coming 2023, and will be a complete adaptation, meaning it'll be the entire series. So interesting enough, that's coming 2023. The House of the Lost on the Cape coming to theaters in the United States September 7th. Tiger and Bunny 2 returns in October. Record of Ragnarok Season 2 comes next year to Japan. Goodbye Don Glees is coming to United States theaters September 16th. Don't Toy With Me Nagatoro Season 2 is coming January 2023. Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation Season 2 coming to Crunchyroll 2023. Why we didn't do a trailer reacts to that, I don't know, because that was the best
Yeah.
trailer that came out of Anime Expo, in all
Yeah, it
honesty.
was. It was really good.
That
I'm so
trailer was
excited.
so fucking good. Anywho, we also have the first Slam Dunk coming to theaters in Japan December 3rd. That is the Slam Dunk movie. I think it's a prequel, if I'm not mistaken.
I
JoJo's
believe
Bizarre
so.
Adventure Stone Ocean's Second Core airing worldwide September 1st on Netflix. SAO Progressive Scherzo, I'm going to mispronounce this. Scherzo of Deep Night opening in theaters in Japan September 10th. Birdie Wing Season 2 coming January 2023. Hell yeah, let's go. Let's go, baby. This, I'm really kind of, like, just a sidebar, side note. I finished Season 1. Season 1 ends off as if, like, the show is just going to continue. Like, it just ends mid-tournament. And it's just like, we're just going to continue this later. It's like, why? Why do this? Why? I don't
Because
like
it's
that.
the most anime thing you can do.
It really is. But anywho, Solo Leveling is getting an anime adaptation coming 2023 to Crunchyroll. Peter Grill and the Philosopher's Time Season 2 is coming at some point. It was announced. Also announced, Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt Season 2 is coming out, it was announced, and Studio Trigger is going to be doing Season 2. And fun fact, Season 1 is actually now on Crunchyroll. I just found that out, like, literally 2 hours ago.
Yeah, yeah, I saw it. I was like, huh, all right.
It just dropped. I read the synopsis. Sounds weird, but you know what? It's anime. It is what it is. The Tale of the Outcast is being adapted into an anime. The Kaguya-sama manga will be ending after 14 more chapters. Bungo Stray Dogs is getting a spin-off. Oh my goodness, manga. Tomo-chan is a girl is getting an anime adaptation. About the Movement of Earth is getting an anime, and it's being adapted by Madhouse, which that's another good studio right there. So that's one to,
Fantastic studio.
circle, take notes of, and, look up what the heck it is. Konosuba's getting a spin-off, Konosuba, An Explosion of This Wonderful World. I believe it's all about, wow, I completely
Megamine?
blanked. Yep. Why Ray Liana ended up at the Duke's Mansion is getting an anime adaptation, and horror manga Dark Gathering will be getting an anime adaptation. So if any of those you know what they are,
Ooh.
great. If you don't know what they are, you have stuff to look up.
Yeah.
But we are going to move straight on into our last segment and our last news story for the day, and that is Disney Plus. What the fuck? What the fuck,
Yeah.
Disney? So I have an article. I have it
I've
linked.
lost hope. Remember when I said I'm an optimist? Yeah, I lied. I'm a pessimist. I've lost all hope.
So yeah, you were like, oh yeah, like all these people, they recognize animes coming out like in being a big thing, and you listed everything but Disney Plus. I thought you were gonna say Disney Plus. I was like, we'll get into that later.
No, I held off on Disney Plus for a reason, because the mouse is
Yes,
a fucking
the mouse is a fucking asshole.
jail warden and just holding all of these shows
That
hostage.
that episode of South Park where he's holding the Jonas Brothers hostage. That's right now, but with anime. Fucking, what's the big idea?
You wanted your anime,
Haha,
Too
oh
bad.
boy.
fuckers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but basically Disney, what the fuck? This still has to do with Anime Expo. And that is the fact that Twisted Wonderland, which has got an announcement last year that they were going to have an anime, and those of you who don't know what Twisted Wonderland is, it is a mobile game based off Disney World, but it's like much darker, but also kind of geared toward like not necessarily boy love, but like it is very BL heavy.
Most of the characters, if not all, I believe, are male, and they're like a
Yeah.
part of different houses, right? They're like basically
Yeah,
the
it's like
different
Harry
card
Potter,
suits.
but it's like Harry Potter, but like Disney. It's really interesting.
But it's like the card suits, right? Because it's supposed to be
Yeah.
like, is that the Allison? Is that the
I think
Wonderland
there's
piece?
Yeah, there's like 8 houses, I believe, is what it is. 8 or 10, something
Yeah.
like that. But
I just know
regardless,
that people were freaking out about the spade person. I think I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't get into the game. I didn't do any real research after, except for just reading about the panel that they had, and Twisted Wonderland. No anime news for it. And we've gone a full core of summertime rendering, and guess what? No news on when it's coming to anywhere else but Japan. So that leads me to believe of Disney Plus, or leads me to say Disney Plus. What the fuck? This has probably been like the most frustrated with like a company that I've really ever been, because to me, Summertime Rendering is a phenomenal manga. Like the source material is absolute amazing. It's it's got mystery, intrigue, violence. Just like I don't know, it doesn't necessarily anything can have that, and it can be bad, but it's such a good source material. And they gave us a trailer. They released the whole show, or like first quarter in Japan. It is highly regarded as the best show or one of the top two, top three shows in Japan this past season, and we've gotten nothing from Disney Plus about it. And then Disney Plus, or Disney, you have a fucking panel on Twisted Wonderland at AX Anime Expo, and you give us nothing. You give us nothing on that show. I want to know more about that show. I really do. Like, I want to see
Yeah.
what Disney is like investing their money in for anime. If they're really serious about it, like I want to know more about it. But they're not giving us any. So I'm just so confused and so frustrated as to why they would have a panel on a game and not give us any information on the anime that's already almost like that announcement is almost a year old.
Yeah. I this is one of the first instances that I can think of where and this is going to be very random, I know, but Twisted Wonderland has merchandise. Like they have like figures and plushies and shirts and shit like that for the mobile game, and I'm sure the mobile game's incredibly popular. Um but for it to have confirmation that there's going to be an anime adaptation and it's being done by Disney Plus, which again, this is their first introduction ish into anime. Like that's huge news. But to your point, Frank, the fact that they have no announcements whatsoever at their panel, they're given the stage. It's like we're harkening back to the Attack on Titan shenanigans with season 4 part 3 or whatever, right? Where
Part
everyone was like,
five.
okay, what part bajillionth? It Everyone's like, okay, it's happening. They're gonna make an announcement of some continuation, some movie, something, and all they said at their panel was, hey, DVD's coming out. There's gonna be a special like panel interview with the voice actors, and then there's some other random bullshit, whatever. Right? Like we got that with the Twisted Wonderland panel, but even worse so because it it's radio silence. Like there's no news or anything. There's like no you can't even get hyped or even try to spread rumors because there's literally nothing to go off of with either Twisted Wonderland or Summertime Rendering. So it's so painful being, especially like I've ordered the manga for Summertime Rendering, haven't read it. You've read it, so you're in this boat of people that are like, okay, extreme hype. Given that I know what the source material is, I have the anime confirmation score. To now, it's rock bottom of I am not even confident that it's ever going to get released in America. Like
Yeah.
that entire change from highest of highs to lowest of lows is like the worst feeling as an anime watcher, an anime like an anime enthusiast too, right? So for them to take the stage, have an entire panel dedicated to Twisted Wonderland, and for them to just only speak on the game itself, nothing else, it is just throwing shit on the burning pile of shit that they have just constantly creating. I don't understand what their approach is to this. It's baffling.
Yeah, it's frustrating would be a kind word to use in this instance. So you know what? If we don't get any news on Summertime Rendering by the time Core 2 is done, I've really given up hope that it's ever going to come out in the States, because it does not, while there is crunch to it to get it translated and everything else, you have official translations from the book. Like you can use a majority of that, if not a little. Well, I mean, you can't use a majority of that because it is words being spoken, but it doesn't necessarily take that long to translate. And you're gonna
Yeah.
hold off? Like, are you gonna hold off a whole 2 seasons to give us any sort of news? So it's gonna come out in one country and that's it? Like,
It
if we don't get any news by the end of this season, like, I will have given up hope that this show will ever come out.
yeah.
So
My one theory on this, and I'll be quick, is that I knowing Disney as the company they are, and all of the different like conglomerate it is, right? It owns a lot of different media. It has ABC, ESPN, all of that jazz. My one fear is that they were like, yeah, let's get on this anime train, and then an afterthought post announcement was, oh shit, if we're going to put this on our Disney Plus platform, we're going to get so much backlash from the I can't show my kids this. This is going to taint them. I thought Disney was supposed to be family, wholesome,
yeah,
and they're going to get I th- like again, this is a crazy theory. This is a conspiracy theory to the moon, to the stars, whatever. But I honestly think that that's sort of the reaction right now, and that's why we're getting radio silence. Is that they were on the anime hype train. Let's do it. Let's go. We're gonna get into this, and then it was a fuck.
I think
We just put our foot in our mouth.
I think a more plausible conspiracy theory to this is Netflix just laid off so many employees and they just took a giant chunk out of the animation budget. And Disney probably saw that Netflix did the numbers, saw their animation studio or portion of the company wasn't doing well, exclusively maybe just anime, because their original animes aren't the greatest. They do have some very good ones, but they also have a ton of turds. And my theory is that Disney saw that and they're like, we'll put a pause on this for releasing anything in the States, but we do want, more people to subscribe in Japan, and we know that it's a tried true given, thing there. We'll put it out in Japan and we'll license shows in Japan, but maybe not in the States. So that would be my theory more so than, oh, my
Yeah,
son and daughter are going to be tainted by Japanese cartoons.
I just you would think if it was yours, there would be like an explanation. There would be some sort of news or updates.
Nothing.
But I don't know. The radio silence is just it's throwing us for a loop. It's throwing everyone for a
It
loop
hurts.
that's been
Yeah,
anticipating. So
it really hurts, and
let's
I would love to eat these words. I really would.
yeah,
Just get like I would
cross
love
your
to hear
fingers.
something. Yep.
Yeah, just cross your
But
fingers.
but yeah, no, it ain't happening anytime soon to our knowledge. But thank you all for joining us this week. We will be back next week with more news, previews, and reviews. If you don't want the conversation to end, please head over to @Baka&Co on Twitter, where you can join our Discord, give us your opinions, tell us why we're wrong, or give us sweet, sweet feedback on what you like and dislike. So until next time, Spark Triumph. We'll see you then.